Ready Kim Inspirasi Infora Islami. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good afternoon to the dear listeners of IKIM FM. Welcome back to another episode of Open Forum with me, Batrisyia Afrina. And as usual, I have my guest, Puan Enizahura Abdul Aziz, fellow at the Center for the Study of Sharia Law and Politics at IKIM. Assalamualaikum, and how are you, Puan Eni?
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Batrisyia. Thank you for having me and hosting Open Forum.
It's a pleasure to have you here. And dear listeners, today we have a very interesting topic, which is ensuring sustainable peace for Malaysia. And I think it is a relevant time to talk about it as we are about to celebrate Malaysia Day on the 16th of September, which is a day to commemorate the establishment of the Malaysian Federation in 1963. And Puan Eni, perhaps before we can go further on the topic, perhaps could you introduce to us about sustainable peace?
Alright. Thank you, Batrisyia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And a very good afternoon to our fellow listeners. Thank you for tuning in to Open Forum this evening. And inshallah, as Batrisyia have introduced, the topic for this week is we will talk about how to make sure that there is sustainable peace for Malaysia. And as you have rightly mentioned, that inshallah on the 16th of September we'll be celebrating our Malaysia Day. And recently we celebrated our 66th Independence Day on the 31st of August. And you can see and you watch on the television, and those of you who actually went live to watch it live, at Putrajaya and also at various states where they have the national parade. And I think after 2-3 years hiatus of the celebration and the parade, people are showing up and showing a good sentiment of patriotism by being there, by actually acknowledging and celebrating our independence as being an important part of Malaysian calendar, and Batrisyia. So
Yes.
inshallah we will celebrate our Malaysia Day on the 16th of September. I think it's coming, it's about it's happening next week, next Saturday, inshallah. So
Yes.
that is also another day where we actually, as Malaysians, we must appreciate the fact that we make up this. We are part of this important celebration. That this unique character of the country. It is something that we as Malaysians must always be proud of. And I believe that when we're talking about independence, and also when we're talking about commemorating Malaysian Day, is actually talking about peace, talking about unity, and also social cohesion, despite of our differences in our cultures, ethnicities, and religions. And we also need to stress that there are challenges to this character of Malaysia, but then we must make sure that being part of a nation that is always there together. We have gone through together for 66 years as an independent nation. So it is important for us to realize what are our role that we can play for us to be able to contribute to make sure that Malaysia lives in peace and harmony together, inshallah, Batrisyia.
And just now, Pranani, you mentioned that when talking about independence, it is going back to about peace, unity, and also social cohesion, despite our differences in background, race, ethnic, and also religions. So, could you explain to us why does the concept of independence itself hold such significance for a country like Malaysia?
Thank you for the question. We talk about independence and we talk about celebration during independence, but we must make sure that we understand the importance of independence. So every time we talk about the National Day, National Independence Day, we talk about Malaysia Day. So these are factors, these are concepts that we must realize importance behind it. So independence of a nation is important for several reasons. And Batrisyia, we know that our forefathers struggled to actually, try to make sure that we go through a process of gaining independence without having going to war like other countries who are, who basically gain independence through, those kinds of mechanisms. Those they had to go through war, they had to fight for independence, like right until the very end of gaining independence. But our forefathers, in their struggle for independence, make sure that it is a point of having the ability to self-determine ourselves as a nation. So independence is being about having that power to for self-determination. It allows a nation to determine its own destiny, to make its own decisions and shape its future without external interference. So this is a fundamental aspect of sovereignty. So when we're talking about sovereignty of an independent nation, self-determination is the core of it. And secondly, when we talk about why independence is important to a nation, to a country like Malaysia, the aspect of cultural and national identity. Independence often goes hand in hand with the preservation of cultural heritage and also national identity. So independence allows a nation to maintain its unique traditions, the language, and also values of its people. So if we do not have the independence, people or external factors or external forces will be the one who determine what our language would be, what our values would be. So it is important for us to realize that independence gives us that ability to determine, also to preserve our cultural and national identity. And definitely, with independence, it allows political autonomy. Nations which are independent nations have the freedom to establish their own systems of government, laws, and also policies that reflect the needs and aspiration of their citizens. So, who knows better, than what is good for the citizens? Except for those who are with the citizens, the leaders that we elect, that we appoint. So these are the person who who will be given the power to actually to form the government of an independent nation. So and also through independence we have that economic control. It provides control over a nation's economic resources, allowing it to manage its own economy, trade agreements, and natural resources for the benefits of its people. So this is why independence is important for a nation. If we are not an independent nation, we are still under foreign rules and so on. So we do not have that liberty to actually determine what our political setup will be, what our economic, resources, how is going to be utilized, and so on. So independence for a nation is very important because of these factors, and also it gives us the what do you call that, the unique international representation. Independent nations can participate in global diplomacy, in international organizations, and also any kind of agreements on their own terms, and advocating for their interests on the world stage, because we are an independent nation. So we have a say at the national, at the international level. We can represent ourselves and so on. And also, as an independent nation, we have that uh, ability or our own capacity for defense and security. So, an independent nation will have its own military, will have its own security forces to protect its citizens and also sovereignty. So, these are among the factors, the reasons why independence is very important for a nation, Batrisyia. So, when we talk about being an independent nation, these are things that we need to value. These are the factors that we need to understand behind the reality of being an independent nation. It's not just about celebrating it, but also we need to understand why it is important for us to be an independent nation. So these are some of the points that I can share with our listeners, Patricia.
And it's interesting when you share that the way how our independence, the way how our forefathers gained for our independence, somehow it shaped on how we control our country now. Means that, you know, the way how we gain independence from our forefathers, it gave us the ability to shape our future in terms of our language, in terms of our identity and culture, but also not only limiting to that, but also goes into beyond a political setup and also the economic control. So,
Yeah.
um, how, in what ways can we ensure that the sustainable peace
Mhm.
can be from through our appreciation of the nation's independence?
All right. So when we talk about Independence Day, we talk about Malaysia Day, about how we can actually, play our part, play our role. In what way can we actually show that we appreciate our national independence day and so on. Showing appreciation for our independence is a very meaningful way to celebrate the history and also the
Mm-hmm.
struggles that led to its sovereignty.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about how independence is very important for us to preserve peace and harmony to a state, to a country, and in Malaysia, in that sense, is also the same for us. So how do we appreciate? How do we show our appreciation? So some of the ways you can see during the National Day celebration in Putrajaya, where people actually throng Putrajaya to show a spirit of patriotism, to show the loving sense of loving the nation, and also bringing their children to actually show the younger generation
Mm-hmm.
how Malaysia celebrates its Independence Day. But there are also other ways that we can actually show our appreciation. One is actually to educate educate
Mm-hmm.
ourselves, learn about our nation's history, the sacrifices made for independence, and the significance of that particular day, the significance of the National Day, the significance of 16 September Malaysia Day. So we need to educate not just ourselves, but also our younger generation, tell them about the struggles, our forefathers, and I think now in YouTubes, in TikToks, in many social media platform, there are showing, old videos about the first Independence Day in the Merdeka Stadium in 1957. So, to educate your little ones, your kids, the children about this is very important for them to realize that we had to go through a process of struggles to actually gain independence. Yeah. Knowledge is a powerful way to appreciate the struggles of the past. So educating ourselves and also our younger generation about this history would
Mm-hmm.
help to actually show a sense of appreciation. um, Another way of appreciating independence is actually by promoting unity. So we're talking about sustainable peace. How do we ensure sustainable peace 66 years and beyond for Malaysia? So how do we actually making sure that we encourage unity and inclusivity among all citizens, regardless of their backgrounds, to strengthen the nation's social fabric. We know that we are multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious nation. So we need to keep on talking about the values which are important to unity and harmony and peaceful coexistence.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the principles of harmony? What are the principles of peaceful coexistence? How do we promote all this? So we need to actually encourage this kind of discussion, and encourage unity, and also to make sure that our younger generation, I'm talking about the younger generation again and again, because I think they are the important
Yeah.
what do you call that, groups that would determine the future of the country.
Mhm.
So we need to understand that how to promote unity is also part and parcel of showing our appreciation for the nation's independence, and to celebrate the cultural uniqueness of each and every one of us, where we embrace and celebrate the nation's diverse cultures and traditions through cuisine, through arts,
Mhm.
through
Mhm.
so many other ways to actually show that we appreciate the independence, and also we want to make sure that it is sustainable for us, inshallah. And other ways are actually to respect institutions, respect and support the country's democratic institutions, the rule of law, and the principles of justice and equality. So when we talk about how we appreciate independence, is to actually showing some sort of decorum towards the nation, towards the country, towards the institutions that makes up the nation. So it is important for us to understand that we actually would encourage people to promote peace, promote unity, where we actually work towards peaceful coexistence and conflict resolution within the nation, and support any efforts for peace. And also at international level, it
Mhm.
will be for efforts for diplomacy and peace. Yeah. And
Mhm.
finally, I would say that how to appreciate one's independence and ensure sustainable peace is actually by reflecting and remembering. So take a moment to actually reflect on the significance of independence and remember the sacrifices made by the past generations. Um, we teach the next generation, we pass on the knowledge and values to our younger people in the country, so they would understand the importance of independence and also the responsibilities that come with it. It is not just about celebration, going to the parades and being
Mhm.
there looking at the, what do you call that, the
The
performance, and also
performance.
yes, but it's actually understanding that self-determination, that we have the ability to self-determine ourselves as a nation, and also the responsibilities that come with that independence. So it is understanding our sense of responsibility as a citizen of Malaysia. So these are among the way we can actually show our appreciation of our nation's independence, so that we can make sure that it is sustainable. It is something that will be appreciated by all, inshallah.
Inshallah. And just now you mentioned the word struggle, right? So,
Hmm.
of course, there will be no achievement without difficulties. So, perhaps could you share with us what are some of the challenges that we have to go through for a country like us, Malaysia, to achieve sustainable peace?
Okay. All right. So as you have rightly explained that, as a nation, there will definitely be challenges. There will definitely be some struggles that we have to go through to ensure sustainable peace, and also to make sure that our independence is rightly appreciated. Um, what are the challenges to this? We cannot deny that we are a nation made up of ethnic and religious diversity. We are a multi-ethnic, multi-religious country with significant Malay, Chinese, Indian, and indigenous population. So
Mhm.
managing this diversity and ensuring justice and opportunities can be a challenge for a country like Malaysia, and
Mhm.
also at some point leading to difficulties, conflicts, and so on. But we have to make sure that this diversity aspect of our nation's social fabric is rightly and justly managed, especially by the leaders of the country. So this is a very important aspect. When we're talking about leadership of a nation, is actually for Malaysia. One important point is how they can actually effectively manage the diversity of the country to make sure justice is preserved. And Islam stress very much on the, what do you call that, principle of justice. So to understand justice in its true sense, in the right sense, and from the Islamic perspective, is very important for us to propel further as a nation. Yeah.
Mhm.
Another challenge for a country like Malaysia, we cannot deny, not just Malaysia, we have this political polarization. there are political divisions along ethnic and religious lines, and at some times throughout history, it has created instability and hindered the development of sustainable peace for Malaysia. So, political rhetorics that we hear can actually exploit these divisions and actually can also exacerbate tensions.
Mhm.
So, this is a challenge, and political leaders must be responsible leaders to overcome this challenge, and how they can actually make sure that any kind of divisions, any kind of factors that can create tensions among people of different groups, different religions, different faith, and so, different culture, and so on, must not be allowed to take center stage in Malaysia. So, because it will actually send some sort like fear among people, and that must be overcome. Okay, another challenge to ensure sustainable peace is actually, there are some aspects of political corruption, and then economic disparities, and also religious extremism, any form of extremism, not just religious, it can be political extremism, and so on. We need to understand that these are among the challenges that can actually hinder, or actually can make it difficult for Malaysia to move forward, or for our country to actually appreciate the true sense of independence that we have been enjoying for the past 66 years. There are also challenges like environmental issue is also a challenge for sustainable peace in Malaysia. We need to understand that environmental challenges, including deforestation and pollution, can contribute to conflicts, especially in rural areas which are dependent on natural resources. So this
Mhm.
is sometimes when we talk about harmony, we only talk about harmony between people, but we forget about harmony between people and the nature. So when we forget about our roles and our responsibility towards the nature, we tend to be in conflict with nature. So we see instances of flood, of deforestation, of open burning, because we are being irresponsible towards nature. We are actually not living in harmony with nature. So when we're talking about sustainability, environmental issues is also another important point that we need to highlight on this part, Batricia.
Mhm.
And another important aspect is actually a challenge for Malaysia is also, as an independent nation, is about international relations, where Malaysia's foreign policy decisions and relations with neighboring countries especially can impact regional stability and peace. So that's why I think the government is seriously looking at how effective role that we can play in the context of ASEAN, our
Mhm.
regional, surrounding, our neighboring countries, so that ASEAN remain as a stable and peaceful region. And we want to make sure that the cooperation among the people of ASEAN, and also the nation of ASEAN becomes stronger, and it shows reflect our our importance. It gives a solid viewpoint on how independence nation in ASEAN can stand together and can show that we will remain as region that are peace, and I think it is very important for us to send that message to other powers in the global arena. Yeah.
Mhm.
And to keep a sustainable peace, Malaysia must also focus on inclusive governance, economic equity, and also on inter-ethnic and inter-religious harmony, and addressing issues like corruption, promoting environmental sustainability, and pursuing diplomacy in regional affairs. These are among the essential steps towards a more peaceful and stable future for a country like Malaysia. So we want to make sure that we remain not just stable, not just peaceful in the context of us as a nation, but we also want to make sure that the surrounding, the our neighbors are also living in peace and harmony with us as a nation, so that we can actually move further. We can actually, propel together towards so many other aspects like prosperity, harmony, and so peaceful coexistence in the region. Inshallah, Patricia.
And again, I really would like to touch in, when you mentioned that usually when we talk about, these aspects of challenges, usually we would think in terms of political and also economic aspects. But we rarely look at the in terms of the environment, the relationship, of
Mm-hmm.
the harmony between the people and also the nature, and how it could affect the peace for a country. And as we are reaching the end of this interview, what can we conclude for this topic?
All right. Thank you, Patricia, for giving me the opportunity to actually share about this important topic. When we talk about sustainable peace in Malaysia for our country, to build that sense of love towards the country is very important. To appreciate every single thing about the country is also very important. To appreciate people, to appreciate the environment, to be responsible citizens. These are also very important points that we must make sure that we play our role as responsible citizens. You have rightly said that sometimes we tend to forget about the nature. We tend to forget about what we contribute towards the nature, or what we're not doing, what we're doing or not doing for the nature, for our
Mhm.
environment, would actually also affect leave an impact to our understanding of peace and sustainability, because depletion of resources can bring about so many other issues as well. It can bring about conflict. It can bring about dissatisfaction towards so many other things. So we must be responsible people. We must be those people who understand our role, who understand that we need to ensure that when we're talking about sustainable peace, when we're talking about Malaysia being an independent nation, these are among the factors that we must take into account. um, uh, we also talk about how important for us to preserve peace, harmony, and also unity towards one another, and to make sure that we become a voice of Malaysians, not different groups with different voices, but whatever that must have it together as a nation. Whatever identity that must have an identity of Malaysians, and we must actually stand by the important aspect of our country. We have the Rukun Negara, we have the federal constitution to guide us into becoming a successful nation, into becoming a nation that is sustainable, and becoming a nation that is peaceful. These are the important guides that we must always look, we must always understand, for us to make sure that we move further, we move forward as a country that is peaceful, that is in harmony with one another. So inshallah, with that, Patricia, I hope that this conversation that we have this evening, and for towards our Malaysia Day, inshallah, would be giving us a sense of understanding of how important for us to play our part as Malaysians, and also to I would stress on knowledge as one important point, or one important aspect that need our serious and serious approach, serious understanding, because through knowledge seeking and understanding what do you call that, our role of as a citizen of Malaysia, it gives us that understanding, the right understanding, to reflect, to remember, to have with us the right values, the right principles, for us to be better Malaysians, and also for us to make sure that Malaysia become the nation that we want it to become. Definitely is a successful, prosper, and also harmony Malaysia, inshallah,
Of,
Patricia.
of course, inshallah. And also, we hope that one day that we could work together and retain the peace that we are enjoying today, to be a better nation in the future, inshallah. And thank you so much, Puan Eni, for your
You're welcome.
insights. on today's topic, ensuring sustainable peace for Malaysia. And also, thank you to the dear listeners of IKIM FM for tuning in today. And we hope that our sharing today will be beneficial to those who are listening and watching us. And inshallah, we will be back next week with another topic. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
And dear listeners, please stay tuned to Radio IKIM Inspirasi Infora Islami.